tariff push. We are joined now by a top Democrat. You probably recognize him, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. Welcome.
Thanks, Ari. Great to be here.
Great to have you. It's not a secret to people who follow politics closely that you have a good amount of money and some business success. Is that fair to say?
Well, thanks for pointing that. Yes, as a matter of fact. And actually, that's why this moment is so worrisome to me.
Yeah, you know a lot about this. And I mentioned earlier in the broadcast that Trump talked a lot about business, but a lot of his background was being a TV host and a reality show host and someone who sold wine branded with his name. But with all respect to the voters, I understand that some people thought he says he's going to lower prices. He says he knows about business. Give him a shot. You're in a business where I know you don't insult voters. So people thought that. Here we are today. What do today's results tell you about his business acumen? And is he gambling with American jobs in a recession?
Well, he's a big talker. He's a big promoter. Remember, his success in the real estate world has just been promoting, not much else. He's not very good at financing. Remember, he went bankrupt a couple of times. And this is a guy who is trying to put himself forward as a great businessman. But today, well, yesterday, he basically shot the U.S. economy in the foot. And we're now all going to suffer from this. You're going to see, I mean, we've seen estimates of this. A U.S. automobile, a U.S.-made automobile is going to cost $3,500 more. A foreign-made automobile, $5,000 to $15,000 more. Buying a home, lumber prices, all the things that go into building a home, buying homes is going to be more expensive. And, of course, I was just in Mexico on a trade mission, just came back yesterday, as a matter of fact. And what you're hearing from them, from the business people there, same thing you're hearing here, which is uncertainty is terrible for the world economy and for the U.S. economy. And the result is that people are going to hold back on making investments. They're waiting to see what's going to happen. And one thing they know is it's bad for their economy. It's bad for the U.S. economy, bad for Canada. And yet we all know that what we really need is to bring down prices. And Donald Trump is raising prices for ordinary Americans. It's exactly the opposite of what his voters voted for. And I think it's important for us to point this out to people. And the result, by the way, is people now are beginning to see that as the prices are going up for the things that they care about, and as he's failing and they're discovering he lied to them, they're voting against Republican candidates across the board.
As for the Trump side, here's what one of his top economic voices, Lutnick, is saying.
Is there a red line for you pulling back and saying, OK, hold on, we're going to rethink things?
No, come on, the markets. When Donald Trump was the president last time, he put on tariffs. And if you go back and look at that news, everybody said, oh, my gosh, oh, my gosh. And the stock market, as you heard him say yesterday, up 88% during his presidency. So what you've got to realize is, sure, there's going to be some short-term movement, but this is a reordering of global trade.
Is this just short-term movement?
Here's what happened today in the markets. Business people, investors from around the world that invest in U.S. markets are basically pulling back and recognizing that the medium-term and long-term prospects for the United States under Donald Trump are worse than they have been in quite some time. So a 5% downdraft in the market in one day is just the beginning. They understand that there is likely to be a recession caused by Donald Trump, that because of the tariffs, taxes essentially are going up on ordinary Americans who keep this economy going and who are going to pull back themselves. And we're already seeing, like, Stellantis laying off hundreds and hundreds of people. This is going to happen across the board, and it's very disturbing. This is self-inflicted. This is not COVID. Donald Trump did nothing to counteract COVID, and we saw what happened to the markets back then as a result. But this is Donald Trump literally causing COVID and bringing that to the markets with his tariffs. The tariffs are a tax on ordinary Americans, and they are like bringing COVID back. It's going to have a long-term effect on Americans.
Yeah, and as far as the economy is concerned, you don't want to bring COVID back. We saw Mike Pence say, this is, like you just said, a tax. We saw Rand Paul say, in a warning to the entire Republican Party, past tariff failures like Smoot-Hawley cost them a generation of voters. do you view it as that dire for them? And we heard from Schumer as well today. What are the Democrats offering in the alternative?
Well, maybe we should start by recognizing that what Donald Trump has done puts him in the category with Herbert Hoover, who put us into a depression. And that's my great worry. And so let's begin with the average folks out there are beginning to recognize that. And you saw on Tuesday the results of elections that really proved they came out to vote against what Donald Trump is trying to do. So is there a recognition that Republicans are failing? There sure is. Now the question is, what's the alternative? It's obvious to me that, we're the party, Democratic Party, is the party that fights for working people. We're the ones who want to raise the minimum wage. $7.25. No one can afford to live on that. That's $14,000 a year. We know that minimum wage, which has been around now for, 15 years, is way too low. We ought to be at least doubling that in the United States. If you ask Republicans, they don't want to raise the minimum wage. In fact, they would like to get rid of the minimum wage. So that's what they think of working people. They are not the party of working families. We are. We're also the ones who want to make sure that everybody has health care. They're trying to take health care away. Look at what they're proposing to do about Medicaid. They want to take Medicaid in my state away from perhaps up to 1 million people. We have 3 million people that need help with health care. They're going to take a third of those people off of health care. That's going to cost you more, not save you money. So I'm very deeply concerned for average folks out there that are affected by this. But if you want to know what the political impact is, you started to see it on Tuesday. But Democrats, we've got to get out there and talk about the things that we're for. And like I said, we want better wages. We want health care for everybody. We want, sure as heck, we want to make sure that everybody is able to get a good education. Donald Trump tore the Department of Education apart.
Yeah, on quite a tough, historic news day for the country. Appreciate getting your views here. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Ari.
Absolutely. Coming up, a new national security crisis at the White House. And we were just talking about tariff history.